How does a Michelin Star chef make a hamburger? We're gonna find out. So this recipe comes from Massimo Bottura, a 3 Michelin Star chef. He is from the region of Emilia Romagna. This is taking in a lot of the local ingredients that come from his region and really just come from Italian food in general. We're going to use a lot of Parmesan cheese. We're going to use Italian flat leaf parsley to create a salsa verde. And of course, we're going to use some balsamic vinegar to make a mayonnaise. But let's start off with something that he does a little bit differently. Our burgers start by extracting some gelatin from sausage. In the recipe, he uses an Italian sausage called cotticino, I think it's called. I couldn't find that here where I live. He suggests to use any other sort of type of local sausage. So in here, I have buttifare, which is basically a pork sausage. Hopefully there's the same amount of gelatin in here. Let's go through the process. If it doesn't work, I have a backup plan. So we're gonna start off with some Lambrusco. This is just a cheap bottle of wine, nothing fancy. The recipe also says you can use any other sort of acidic type wine. Love that sound. Essentially what we're up to here is we're going to create a steamer with this pot to steam out the gelatin. And then we're going to cool it down and we're going to separate everything. So let's do that. Add the wine. Add in a steamer tray. Add my sausage on top of the steamer tray. And we're going to heat this up. Cover this with a lid. Then we're going to steam this for 30 minutes over medium-low heat. This has been steaming for about 30 minutes. Let's remove the liquid. So I'm going to pour this liquid into a container. Then I'm going to let this come to room temperature and then put it in the fridge for 4 hours. All right, so our mixture that was steamed with the sausages has been sitting, it's been sitting overnight, so it's been even longer than 4 hours. Let's take a look and see if this gelatin experiment worked. This reminds me a lot of making stock. We've got sort of these little pieces of fat and it's sort of jiggling, and I think that's what the gelatin is. I think that's what we're going for. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm going to try and scoop off that little layer of gelatin. We don't need much for this recipe, but it is really going to amp it up. Let's do that. Get rid of the fat. So I'm not sure if we got the fat or if we got gelatin out of this. So our little gelatin experiment with the sausage, the buttifara, didn't work so well. I basically didn't get any gelatin. I think all that's in there is the fat. So I'm not really sure what happened. I think probably I was using sausage that wasn't gelatinous enough. I didn't use that cotticino sausage that Massimo Bottura recommended in the recipe. If you've ever done this before, or if you have any ideas, leave a comment below. I did say I had a backup plan. So I have some regular powdered gelatin. We're gonna get the same sort of effect with this. I know other chefs use this as a way of amping up the juiciness or the moist factor in a burger. Let's use this instead of the mixture that we've used and keep making our Emilia burger. Start by adding in our ground beef. So now I'm going to use my gelatin and I'm just going to sprinkle it on. Mix that together with my hands. Then I'm going to add in, quite frankly, a ridiculous amount of Parmesan cheese. Again, mix this with my hands. And I'm going to cover this and let this rest in the fridge for 1 hour. So we're on to making the sauces for this burger, which are a little bit different. One that I think is, sort of traditional, or at least I usually like putting it on my burgers, is a mayonnaise. But we're gonna make a balsamic mayonnaise. Balsamic vinegar is a quintessential ingredient from the part of Italy that Massimo Bottura comes from. And making mayonnaise at home isn't really all that difficult. So we're gonna do that. Number 2 is we're gonna make a salsa verde. Not the Mexican style salsa verde that has tomatillos. We're going to make what I would call an Italian style salsa verde. Features parsley. Looks like it's going to taste really, really fresh. Pair that with the fat obviously from the burgers and the mayonnaise, and I think it's going to really balance out this burger. But let's make our sauces. So we need 1 whole egg and some balsamic vinegar. Actually, a lot of balsamic vinegar. I have ½ liter of neutral flavored oil. I'm using sunflower oil, and my immersion blender. I'm going to start off just blending the egg and vinegar until it's smooth. And then start adding the oil a few drops at a time. So it's started to emulsify. Now I'm going to add the rest of the oil in a steady stream with this running. And at the end of all that, you should have a thick, shiny balsamic mayonnaise. Just needs a little bit of salt. So same thing, we're going to use an immersion blender. A lot of fresh flat leaf parsley. Push that in. Breadcrumbs. Capers. Some anchovies that were in olive oil. A few teaspoons of white wine vinegar. And extra virgin olive oil. Just going to push this down so it all fits. I almost forgot a little splash of water. And I'm going to blend this until it's smooth. It should be about the same consistency as the mayonnaise. This looks pretty good. Tastes really good too. Okay, this is a bit cooler. Let's form it into patties. This is the bun I'm going to use. It's a brioche bun. I want the patty to be about the same size as this. Got a few ring molds that I'm going to use. That's going to help me keep it a uniform shape. Perfect. That's about exactly the size that I'm looking for. And I'm just going to put the meat into my ring mold. I want a fairly thick patty. I'm going to go about 2 centimeters. I think that's about a 1/4 inch up the side of the mold. Looks pretty good. Let's do the rest. Big frying pan, medium-high heat. Using a paper towel, put a little olive oil on here. Make a thin layer. Getting pretty close, seeing some smoke. Add a patty. And the second one. Sear these on one side. Flip them over. Take them out. Then we're going to sear all the edges. Basically 4 sides. Okay, that's all 4 sides. I lightly toasted my bun. Set that on the bottom. Add my salsa verde. Spread that around. One of my patties. Then a little bit of my balsamic mayonnaise. And add on the lid. And this is a Michelin starred hamburger, the Emilia Burger. So I was pretty skeptical when these were in the frying pan. They were sort of falling apart. I don't think they were searing all that great, but that last sear, that rotating them in the pan, really took it to the next level. You really just have to wait with searing. Let's give this a try. That's a really good burger. It's pretty different than what I'm used to. The brightness from that Italian salsa verde, that little bit of balsamic and the fat from the mayonnaise, really good, really, really simple, but really, really different. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. It's a really good burger. I would never think to make the salsa verde and put that on a burger, but it works.